Hello. Sorry I'm a little late getting started today, but I didn't think there'd be anyone streaming into us anyway, so I was just doing some other stuff, and then after putting the kids to sleep, fell asleep on the couch, um, and then woke up and I thought, oh, it's past streaming time, but there's still a stream I want to do, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. Um, Still working on this all-time rookie seasons team. And what happened was we ran into a hiccup with a few of the players not importing properly. And it was just the Negro League players. So two of them, Josh, well, let me take a step back in case anyone's new to this. What we're doing right now is putting together a team of the greatest all-time rookie seasons to send through time. So we're going to play them in 2023 first. In the modern kind of play environment, and then maybe send them to some other seasons. So um, had a real good time with chat over a couple of streams, putting together the roster, coming up with kind of a final list that felt pretty good, and then went to test drive it last night. And part of the reason you test drive is to just kind of see what goes wrong, so you can tweak it and make some improvements before we do an official um, official sim. I don't know what's official about it. We can just do it, redo it whenever we want to. But during the course of that, hold on, let me update the title of this. Um, so during the course of that, we realized that we use this approach that I've learned over time on how to bring in the players. So uh, when you want to bring in players into your sim, whatever season you're playing, you do it through the free agent screen. Why don't I just put that up? So the free agent stream is kind of where everything happens in terms of creating or bringing in players. So let me just open. Probably also slept through a couple of perfect team drafts, unfortunately. Okay, so I created a sim that's the all-time great rookies uh, Negro League recovery, and I'll explain why that is in a second. But so here we're gonna take over the A's and replace them with our roster of players from across history that had the greatest rookie seasons ever, just determined by us. And here's what that looks like. So I don't have my VTube Studio because my laptop's been super laggy the last few times I've streamed. So I'm trying to keep it as light as possible so that hopefully it won't freeze or crash again. But anyway, when you want to manipulate rosters, bring in players, you do it through the free agent screen. Right, so in the game, this is where you go to sign free agents. But if you go over here to actions, the second item in the pull down is import historical players. So once you kind of prepare where they're going, and I'll show you why the preparation part is important. But basically, whatever roster you want them to go to, you want to have it ready to accept the players because then it makes the importing multiple players super fast and easy. So then you go to this free agent page and then you do these steps. You import your historical players, you choose the database, and then you enter the historical player IDs. And so what that looks like is, let me make sure I have them in the right lists. Yeah, so in our case, here's what that list looks like. And this is something you prepare in advance. And it takes a little bit of preparation, but it's super fast to actually import into the game once you have it done. So every player in OOTP has a player ID. And if you ignore the first one for a second, but the first one is kind of why we're having um, the issues. But if you go skip to the second one, ALONSPE01, that's the first five letters of Pete Alonso's last name, the first two letters of his first name, and then his kind of number designator. Since he is the first Alon's P in the game, he's Alon's P01. If you look at someone like skip the Robin S one for a second. Again, that's related to issue. But if you look closer to the bottom, you see the Braun RY. So that's Ryan Braun. We won his 2007 season, but there must have been another Braun RY before him, so he's Braun RY02. So every player has that, and um, I don't think it's I think it's um, I mean OTP has been transparent about it. It's a number that exists in baseball reference too, and so it's the same one that's used within the game. So originally, the first name on this list was uh, Gibson Joe 99, and that was the baseball player ID for Josh Gibson. And well, let me just explain the rest of this list. So it's the player ID, then comma, the year of the stats you want to pull in. And so, when we're doing our 1986 Mets, sending them back to different seasons, it's all the Mets player IDs, comma, 1986, comma, NYM, because we want to pick their 1986 stats and want to put them into the roster for the team NYM, which is the New York Mets in whatever year we're simming. So in this case, the years are all different because we're trying to pick like the best rookie seasons of all time. And the destination is franchise time machine because we took over the A's organization, replace them with our team, and then replace their OAK for Oakland designator with FTM for franchise time machine. So if you feed this list into the game, and again by following these instructions, right, where the last step is enter historical player IDs, or you can upload this text file. And so that's what we're doing. So we're uploading this text file. And where you do that is, again, back on the free agent screen, actions, import historical players from the historical database.odb. And then right here, there's a click here to select file. Now, up top is where you would enter the individual IDs. So a couple things were happening when we did this originally. Even when we use oh yeah, so here's an example. This is the Mets, the 86 Mets when I bring them into different games. All right, so it's Ed Lynch is Lynch ED01, 1986, New York Mets. And if you look down towards the middle, you see Ed Hearn, Hearn ED. He's apparently the second Hearn ED in the game, so he's Hearn ED02. Anyway, this is the list as we originally had it. We wanted Josh Gibson's 1933 season, where he had almost 400, had over 1100 OPS. Incredible rookie season. And I had no idea until I started this sim that he had such an amazing rookie season. But that's the season that we wanted. And my assumption was his designator 99 is because all of his stats would be in the Negro leagues versus all the other players who were in the major leagues. And it wasn't until last week when MLB officially made Negro League stats part of MLB stats. So when OOTP 25 was released, Negro League stats and leagues would have been separate from Major League. And so that's why I assumed that designator was different. Instead of 01, it was 99. Um, the same held true for, we wanted Bill Foster too. Let's see if I can make it so he shows up a little. There we go. So we wanted Bill Foster's rookie season from 1924. So he showed up as FOSTEBI 99. Now, the other two Negro League players who wanted to bring in, Satchel Paige, he shows up here as Paige SA01 because he did play in the majors. And then we wanted his 27th season. And then the other former Negro player was Jackie Robinson. Again, he had an 02 number because he played in the majors. And we wanted his baseball reference said that he hit his rookie thresholds in 1945. That would have been with the Kansas City Monarchs, and so that's the season we're going to grab. Whatever Baseball Reference said is the official rookie threshold season. Those are the seasons we consider for best rookie seasons of all time. Even though he won the Major League Baseball Rookie of the Year in 1947, he was officially hit his rookie thresholds in 1945. Again, I learned a ton doing this. This is why I like doing these kinds of sims. I learned that Jackie Robinson was actually a rookie in 1945. Um, of course, Major League Baseball at the time wasn't recognizing Negro League stats. So, from a Major League Baseball perspective, he hit his rookie thresholds in 1947 with the Dodgers. Um, and then I also learned about that Josh Gibson insanely good rookie season. Um, so yeah, so you wanted those, right? You wanted those seasons. The problem was when we use this approach here to import in the roster using this text file. Um, Normally, we're expecting 26 players to import, and we got the notification that 24 players had imported. So I knew right away there was a problem. And then when we looked at who came through, well, let's just do it again. First, let me cancel out. I've been messing around with this roster so much, I actually can't remember if. Okay, so the players we brought in are still in here. So let me delete them out so I can just show you kind of what happened. The good news is we got a little bit of help and semi-resolve the issue, but there's still an issue. And so we may still have to proceed without the Negro League players and kind of define replacements with them. But I wanted to kind of kick the tires on it a bit more and see if there's any way to bring them back in without having to wait till OOTP 26. I mean, if we can't get their Negro League stats and their kind of uh, you know Negro League rookie seasons, I don't mind doing this again, waiting to do this again in OOTP 26. Um, but it just won't feel as fun knowing that we're leaving those great seasons on the sidelines because we can't pull the data in. Um, and so I've cleared out the rosters, and this is what you would do. Because our text file that I showed you for importing the teams, let me pull that up again. Right, if you leave this last column after the last comma off, it'll just dump all these players into. Hey, Gumbercules, welcome back to the stream. So the only alternative will be manually entering. So kind of. It looks like there are Negro League stats in the game somewhere, and I'll kind of walk you through what I found. Um, it's not just that we manually entering the stats; we'd then be manually trying to generate the game attributes that go with those stats. And so we'd be getting like layers and layers away from, I guess, like the kind of fidelity of the ratings. And then we kind of get into, okay, do we want to just pull from the players we have access to, or do you want to add these players but then know that um, they're going to be off because we're kind of trying to reverse engineer them. Um, I don't mind waiting till OTP 26 to bring them in. It's a bummer, but we can do it. But yeah, I'm also up for investigating, like, uh can we try to get them in there on our own? That's part of what I do in the base game anyway, is like create players and bring them in. Yeah, they were Sunken Berkeley's saying, yeah, they would be potentially artificially inflated or deflated. Yeah, or just, with the best intentions, but we just might get it wrong. I mean, uh, even sideways, right? Like, I don't know all the different ways in which we could mess up trying to um, create a card based on stats. In the past when I've done it, it's been for fictional players, right? It's been for creating myself and my friends. So if there were, whatever you would consider off, it didn't really matter because it was just made up. But like, I would want these players to kind of get a fair shake. So I wouldn't want to mess up translating their stats. The other problem is the Negro League seasons were shorter, and a lot of rookies play kind of abbreviated seasons anyway, and so we get into small number sizes too. So that, I think, even increases the chance of making a mistake that either, to your point, tuberculosis artificially inflates or deflates the performance. Um, but anyway, I'll show you kind of what I found, and then in one of the streams, I was having a side chat with Spore and Paul Spore, who, I guess his title is content director of with for OTP, but he's the one who kind of comes up with all the new cards that get brought into the game. He had a couple of really good suggestions, and he's the one who reminded me, when OTP 25 came out, that Negro League stats were not yet in the MLB stat pool, and so um, he suggested, you know, making sure that we were pulling from the minors or whatever other league. So when I do some of these sims, sometimes I don't do a full, in the course of setting up a season like this, or a save like this. One of the things you can choose is whether you want to import the full history of the league, and another option is whether or not you want to pull in all the minor leagues. So, while Major League Baseball has corrected that at the time, the Negro League stats would have been not Major League stats, so presumably in the game as other leagues or minor leagues. And since I had unchecked that box, the thought was, well, then I lost the part of the database where Josh Gibson and Bill Foster sat. So, in this particular version of the world, I have left the minor leagues in. So if the Negro League stats are in the non-major league stat pool, they should still be in the game now. So to make this work, I don't want to have to re-edit the text file, so I'm just going to go ahead and do what did we previously and go into league settings and just go ahead and change the league structure and rename the Oakland Athletics so that we can use the same text file. So really, I only have to change the designator, which I've already done, but I'm going to just do a full change so that we can avoid any confusion between the team name showing up and the three-letter abbreviation that we're using. So if you look up here, you can already see that the OAK designation had been changed before to Franchise Time Machines FTM, but now it should have changed everything else. So the logo is still going to be the same because I haven't fixed that yet, but now for all the game functions, it should be, if I go to the team home screen, yeah, so now it says Franchise Time Machine. The logo is the only thing that I haven't changed yet. Okay, so now it'll dump all these, um, when I feed it this text file, it'll dump them all into our roster, which I just cleared out. So now with the minor leagues turned on, and then the other thing is there's a checkbox in the import screen. So we'll go back to the free agent pool, actions, import historical players. If you look here, there's a include players in the minor leagues, the minor league database. It's under the part where you enter in individual player IDs and years, and not part of the section where you click to add the text file. But just in case, I'm going to check this because I do want it to pull minor league databases in case the Negro League stats are housed there. And then you'll see here, I created a version of this roster ATG all-time great rookies with Negro League adjustments. And I'll show you where that came from in a second. But first, let's try it with the original roster and the original player IDs where Josh Gibson has the 99 number instead of the 01 number. Right, so, and we checked the minor league areas. I just want to do this again anyway because I couldn't remember if within here I checked it. In the league creation, I checked it, so I know minors are in the league now, but I want to make sure that we're also importing players from the minor league database. So before when we did this, it said we had imported 24 players instead of the expected 26 that were in our text file. So that's how we knew there was a problem. But when I include minor leagues in the sim and I check that box on the import options where we include the minor leagues, hopefully it happens here, but I then got 26 out of 26 players. So it did find Josh Gibson and Bill Foster and pull them in. Problem is, the versions that they pulled in were severely underpowered. Um, so, for example, it's still chewing. Well, it's still thinking. Let me pull up the. Oh, here we go. Historical player import succeeded. 26 players imported. Hey, D Block. Um, I found a semi workaround on the Negro League stats issue, and so I'm trying to figure out if there's a way we can get a full workaround. So I pulled into the sim the minor league stats, and in the import screen, checked the box for including minor leagues for the import because I was reminded that in this version of OTP was released before Major League Baseball fully integrated the Negro League stats, so that the Negro Leagues would have been in non-Major League Baseball um, databases. And so by checking those boxes, it now is bringing in 26 players instead of 24. So that's the partial success of the workaround. It now does find Josh Gibson and Bill Foster. The problem is when we go back to our roster, um, Josh Gibson is now here, which is huge progress. We now have found him. But when you look at his ratings, right, 20 contact, 45 power, 40 eye, that does not line up with the slash line we found for him, which was 395 and an OPS over 1100. So clearly it's pulling in stats from somewhere else. Yeah, it's way off from the performance of that season. And even And then I thought, well, maybe it's the case where I know if you play with scouting reports, sometimes the scouts are just off. So I went into editor to make sure that, it wasn't the case of that. And you can see, with the new 550 scale, there's no way these ratings add up to that slash line. Um, yeah, you can even see it in the middle of the left-hand side of the page here where what these ratings translate into in a neutral modern major league environment is not a 395 average, it's an 087 average. So this is not the Josh Gibson stat line we're looking for. And it's the same with Bill Foster. It did find Bill Foster this time. Oh wait. Oh, his stats look better. Okay, we're more than halfway there then, because this Bill Foster does look like the Bill Foster we're looking for. Um, I didn't really. I kept focusing on Josh Gibson because he's at the top of the list, and he was kind of the litmus test for if it was working for me. Um, so I hadn't actually gone as far as looking at the Bill Foster. I kind of just assumed, and of course, bad on me for doing that, or that he was in the same boat. So yeah, this is a much better Bill Foster. So then the only question is like, what's wrong with the Josh Gibson? Yeah, deep like maybe edit Josh. Gumberkules also had the same thought, and I think it's a valid approach. Um, because I do want to get him into the game. But because I'm finding Bill Foster, I'm thinking like there's got to be a way to find Josh. So here's the other thing. When I started poking around, I showed you guys where you can find their player ID through editor, right? Well, here's the one we're using, Foster BI99. Then I noticed he has this historical miners ID, Foster 002 BIL, right? I mean, again, I didn't do my due diligence on Bill Foster. I found it through Josh Gibson. And I thought, oh, maybe this is another clue. Maybe I need to pull this number. So I created a page where instead of the historical ID slash BREF ID of the Gibson JO99, I created one. Let me pull that up. That uses this historic minor league. I pulled in his Gibson 002 JOS version. I still get this, underpowered pro version of Josh Gibson. And man, now that I see that Bill Foster came through, it's still extra um, aggravating that it's not pulling Josh Gibson properly because now Bill Foster's there. And yeah, so his batting ratings just aren't right. And you know what? I mean, maybe we can just adjust this because as with a lot of not just Negro League players, but a lot of dead ball era players too. I think they just don't have the detail behind the stats to do the left right splits. And so I'm looking here. He does not have like true left right splits. It looks like they've just kind of made them all equal. And the only one that's different is I slash patience is 300 versus 299. Um, Everything else is equal. So, we could do it. I mean, let's try this first. Let's make everything um, match his potential numbers and see what that does. I don't think it'll do a ton because we're still so far off that 087 average. The other thing about trying to edit Josh Gibson into the Josh Gibson we want is I don't know how OTP would map all of these other players from their, we're talking about 1933 season, even in Major League Baseball from 1933. How do those numbers translate into this middle section of a neutral modern major league environment because that's the only tool we have to see how close are we getting with these adjustments. But if I update all these numbers to get to his potential numbers, for example, yeah, it's still going to be off though. If you look, his potential BABIP is 240, and the league average is 395. There's no way with the stat line he had that he was that far below league average. I mean, we can do it, but it's not going to get us to the stat line we want. Um, and frankly, like his extra bases, like the doubles and all that other stuff, is bound to be off too. So I'm still hoping to find a way into this. So the other thing I want to do is now that I know I have the right data set, is I want to rerun it with these historical um, IDs just to make sure there isn't hiding in there like the amazing Negro League season Josh Gibson had in 1933. Then the other thing I was going to do was I was just going to go into a historic save of the Negro Leagues and just look at that 33 season and see if I can find the Josh Gibson we're looking for. Um, so really, like this episode is kind of turning into finding Josh Gibson. Like, where is that 395 hitting 1100 1933 rookie Josh Gibson? Because that's who we want to bring into this team. Um, so yeah, so since there was no one streaming in today and I kind of got started late, I thought, no, this would be a good time for me to just poke around. But I appreciate you guys being in the stream. Maybe give me some additional ideas. Like say Gumberkely saying like Saving Private Ryan, but with an old baseball player. Exactly. Or I don't know if have you seen the documentary? I think it's Searching for Sugar Man. He's this musician from the 70s who had released a couple of albums that didn't do much. Yeah, you've seen it. So he, didn't do much in the U.S., but apparently had become like big hit records in South Africa, where they took on a life of their own. And so the documentarians are trying to figure out like what happened to this musician. So yeah, we're trying to figure out where is this 1933, the true 1933 Josh Gibson with the killer stat line. So let me I'm gonna clear out the roster again, historic minor league IDs. Oh, but before I do that, like because I realized I was remiss by not looking at Bill Foster, and Bill Foster now does look like his proper Negro League stats are running skills. Look at this: stuff 80, movement 60, control 50. Like he's there now. Um, if we look at his editor version, pitching ratings, right? For pitching, it's on the right hand side for some reason, but in a neutral major league environment, that translates into a 205, 208 opponent batting average, a 295 ERA, and a 6.4 WAR. Like that's the Bill Foster we're looking for. Um, that's the stat line we want. So we found the right Bill Foster from the Negro Leagues. And then the other one was Satchel Paige, right? Because he did have a major league career. Even when we did this before, he was coming through, but he was really underpowered. So I just want to make sure, how does he look in this one? And yeah, it looks like he's getting a proper treatment now too. He's still not at his potential, but it is probably because he's a rookie. But his stuff is now 55 out of his potential 75. His home run allowed 50, PBABIP 55, control 55, much more aligned with kind of the season that we saw from his rookie year. And if we look at editor and his pitching ratings, right, a neutral run environment, we're talking 250 batting average, 393 ERA, 3.64. Not as dominant as the Bill Foster season, but again, part of that is probably, they were rookies. So you know, it's still not going to be his most dominant Satchel Pageness. But also part of that's probably the translation into the modern era. So I don't mind that this isn't as killer of a stat line as what we saw for Bill Foster. But I mean, it's clearly much more representative, I think, of what we're expecting when we saw his rookie stats. And then the other one to check is Jackie. Um, he was also showing up as a little underpowered because we're not pulling his 1947 Dodgers rookie season. So he's actually showing up as a 1 star. So we may still have the problem with Jackie. Yeah, this is a severely underpowered Jackie too. So let's see what might be going on here. So let me make sure we're also playing this Robbins 002 JAC. If we're going to do it with Josh, I want to do it with Jackie. And so in the text file I created, yeah, okay. I did put in his, what do they call it? The historical miners ID. Hoping to try to get that, um, his Negro League stats from his rookie year. So I think so what we're going to be looking at then to see if it did it correctly are Jackie's stats and Josh Gibson's stats. Are they the underpowered versions or not? I mean, we're halfway there now. I think we have the right Satchel Paige and we have the right Bill Foster stats. So I'm trying to get us all the way there because I don't want to have to do it with a watered down lineup where we're replacing Josh Gibson and we're using Jackie's Dodger stats and not his official rookie threshold Kansas City Monarchs stats. So D Block, this is for you. I'm trying to get Jackie's Kansas City stats in here. Um, so yeah, so let's run it again using these historical miners IDs for the players and see if we can get it there. Um, so let me delete out the rosters again. You sent me a link as a DM. Okay, let me check that out. I'm assuming you meant within Twitch, so I just realized I wasn't even in my own chat, so I am now. There it is. I'm gonna keep the game window up just in case D Block is rickrolling me. Oh, it's from the forums. Awesome. All right, let me share this window. So, um, oh yeah. Here, real quick. Here's that stat line we're looking for. Right, we want that 395, 442, 744 slash line. And then let me create a new source to share this link you sent. I don't know how you affiliate streamers do this. Like you guys do this all so seamlessly. I'm almost like, oh, I gotta create a scene and a source for this. Bear with me a second. I'm trying to set up so I can share what D Block just shared with me, which is a forum post. Okay, let me resize this. Okay, so this is what D Block just sent me. It's a link to this forum post. Posted by Lucky Man in November 2019 with an update in 2022. So D-Block, this is what you're referring to, correct? Is there a specific part of this we should look at? So it looks like he's talking about. I feel I've been a bit of a sponge the time since I became an OOTP alum, taking all the great mod work across the spectrum while offering little in return. Considering that this is my attempt to redress this imbalance. As any of you follow one or more of my numerous saves would likely be aware, I've been working away at a project to enable the importation of more accurately represented versions of Negro League players. Oh, perfect. Great. As I say perfect, he says, these are not perfect. Um, the problem NEL player imports at the ground floor. I'm not sure there's a perfect fix available. Process is tricky. These profiles do not work in a recalc environment. Recalc involves cross-sectioning and altering ratings against a player's historical stats with a frequency set by the player. As soon as these players are subject to recalc, the AI takes over and reverts them to their historicals, wiping out edited versions. Okay, so that's important to remember. We'll have to shut down recalc if we go down this path. Results will differ. Post number 4 has a bunch of players as profile. Okay. There's post number 2. Post number 3 is this process. And then post number 4. Okay, here we go. So let's look for Josh Gibson. Here we go. Josh Gibson. While he's mainly known for his work plan play, Josh also spent time at various other positions over the course of his career. I gave him ratings at each. He was just 19 in 1930. So he did his import in 1930. I think um, our research said by via baseball reference that he hit his rookie thresholds in 1933. So we did have to do a recalc on top of the recalc, but this is interesting. And this is what um, Convertilis you were talking about too, right? Which is kind of doing an edit of the stats to make them look like what we want. Yeah, and G-Block, so we were looking at this. I think one of the things we have working in our favor if we go down this path is um, let's go back to Josh. I guess though part of what we're learning then is I don't think there is a true 1933 Josh Gibson in the database then, right? Otherwise he wouldn't have had to do all this. So whatever we find in 1933 for Josh is probably not going to be what we want. Um, but here's what I don't think you had joined us yet, D Block. But here's what one of the things working in our favor for Josh is just like a lot of historic players, even not just Negro League but dead ball players, they don't have a left right split data set. So they just made him across the board. His overall is across the board VL and VR. So we don't have to figure out what his split should be. We just need to figure out what his overall should be. You think it'll change with NEL players in Major League Stats, but it'll take a while. Yeah, I mean, by a while, I'm not expecting it until OOTP 26, and I'm still gonna be playing the game, so I don't mind, waiting to bring in like a true Josh Gibson until then. But I also don't necessarily like the idea of having to cut him from this roster just because we don't have the right stats. Um, but yeah, this lack of splittiness, while artificial, makes it easier for us to recreate his stats. I mean, we're gonna delete this roster anyway, so I mean, what do we have to take this to make his average hit 395? Like, let's just take the league average for first. 395 was the league average, so let's do that. Let's take his avoid K to 389, which was league average. Okay, that gets us to, as you would expect, a 247 average because I think when you hit league average, you should come out around um, 250. Okay, so D Block, you're saying his splits are in the XLS file? All right, let's check that out. Oh yeah, okay, I see. It's so right under this screenshot is an XLS file. I don't have Excel in here, so I'm hoping I can just open it within Google Sheets. So I download it. Let me see if I can um, maybe within Google Sheets. Let me open up an instance of Google Sheets. Try to open it in there. I don't know about you guys, but like I find this stuff to be fascinating, so I actually don't mind delaying the launch of this sim to try to look into this a bit. All right, so now that I've downloaded it, um, off screen here, I mean offline, I'm opening a Google Sheet. Oh, I guess it has to be in Google Drive for me to. Um, okay, so let's do this. Let me just put this up for now while I move this file into my Google Drive. Hercules, you're learning for free, so it's all good. You knew none of this until you stumbled upon my stream. Okay, great. I mean, what I want to do is just, you know, share the outputs of all these crazy sims that I do. But I'm glad you're getting some value from the behind the scenes too. I mean, I like all this stuff, so I don't mind doing it. I'm glad you don't mind seeing it. So I'm going to create a Google Drive folder for this. And so far, this is we've only hit in the stream like a couple of the ways I play. I'm gonna do all of them, so hopefully, like you might not find all of them interesting or fun, but I think hopefully you'll learn from all of them because it's I do a lot of wacky stuff in the main game. If I do not have MS Office, why not use LibreOffice? I don't even know what that is. D Block, can you tell me more about LibreOffice? While I do that, I have found my Google Drive, so I'm gonna dump this in there. Okay. Oh, this looks really cool. It is not a Rickroll, so I am going to share this now. Um, all right. So when you open up that file, this is what you get. LibreOffice is essentially free to use Office suite that can read and save documents and Excel sheets in Office formats. And you can do it offline without handing Google all your data. Oh, interesting. I'm going to download and set that up after this stream. Thank you, D-Block. LibreOffice. All right, so current stats. So okay, he did say it was his 1930 season, so it does look underpowered compared to what we're looking at for 1933. But I mean, directionally, it looks like this would get us there. It is the successor of OpenOffice. Okay, cool. Thank you. I did not know about LibreOffice. Looking at this deblock, and also given the date of its post, this is all under still the 250 max, right? So even this we'd have to scale up to the 550, but directionally, like I like what he's done here. Oh, and that's right. He was born in Georgia, so he would be eligible for my uh, Georgia Tech on my mind theme team when we get a playable Josh Gibson card. 95% of all students use it in Germany because it's free. I, I don't blame them. Well, I mean, Google Sheets is free too, but I guess from what you're saying is people don't like to give Google their data. Okay, so I guess with this approach, it's definitely doable. Okay, I do still want to try a few things though within the game. The first being, let's try to import using this historical minor league identifiers and see if that helps. And then the other thing is, I want to just go into the Negro leagues in the game and see kind of what the stats are in there. Um, so let me go back to the roster. Oh, and that you can use it offline. Oh yeah, that is a big plus. I'm actually gonna close that Google Drive and Sheet window because I'm already getting a little laggy again. So I'm gonna try to keep to a minimum my number of Chrome windows I have open. Okay, so let's go back to the free agent screen. Yeah, so Gimbercules, when I do the version where I make my own players after myself and my friends, I also do that in here. Where you do create fictional players. I use this and I make um I don't know if this is the best approach, but what I do is I make a fictional player that's as close to kind of what I'm looking for as possible, and then I go in and tweak it. So, of course, because it's me and my friends, I want us to all be amazing. So I always put myself at second base because that's what I played in high school. And for player quality, the choices are from scrub to legend or random. Of course, my friends and I are all going to be legends or stars. Um, but even then, there's a lot of variability in what you end up getting, and so then I kind of tweak it. Like, um, I want to make myself into like a switch hitting, um, high average, low power, slick fielding second baseman. And sometimes it'll make me like a power hitting second baseman that's legend level, and then I have to kind of adjust it accordingly. But anyway, so that's how I make players in the game. But now we want to import players. So now we're going to use the version I created called with NEL adjustments. So this is where I pull, D block telling me Chrome and OBS do not like each other. Um, so do you happen to know what OBS does like? Because if I'm going to change, I'd like to change to the right thing. I'm not super wedded to Chrome, I guess. The one thing I do like is um, Chrome does appear to let me run multiple instances of Chrome simultaneously and collect Twitch drops from my main and my alt um, pretty seamlessly. I've got to keep these alts fed with cards and packs. So yeah, so we'll use this NEL just this is the one that uses the historic minor league ID. So the Gibson 002JO. Firefox works fine in Edge and Brave. I don't even know Brave, so thank you for all this. LibreOffice and Brave, all new to me. And I kept the minor leagues checked. I wonder if there's anything here that might be screwing up too. Adjust hitter options. Let's take this down. So what this does what is if a player had a short season to deal with the small numbers, it'll adjust their profile. So let's take the at bats way down to 50. And yeah, it'll weaken players too. So and we'll take that weaken them to 0. And pitchers will take down to 10 innings, and I don't want them weakened at all. Just in case, let's do that, and then we'll import. By the way, G Block and Gumbercules, I really appreciate you guys being here because first of all, I didn't even have a chat until after Ezra Denny rated in the first couple of times, and then it's such a different experience streaming with a chat, especially when we're doing roster building. It was such a richer, I think, experience and ended up with a better roster for it. And so when I'm doing some stuff like this, I was just mentally prepared to just do this on my own tonight. But it's fun having you guys here to chat with, and both of you bringing in like good suggestions on approach here. So I really appreciate that. I also D Block, you probably noticed I also shut down for now my VTube Studio because I'm sure that was also contributing to the lagginess and the crashing. Okay, so again, all 26 players imported, so we're on the right track at least. So by changing the historical ID, we at least didn't lose the players. And now let's see how they look in the roster. Yeah, stream without chat is hard. I have noticed though, because I tend to be on later at night when most of the affiliates are gone. And I end up watching people streaming OTP. A lot of them are just like they're doing what I do. They're just playing the game, and I think they don't seem to care or pay much attention. Like they don't have a chat, and I'm like, it's still interesting to watch. So I was like, I didn't feel too bad about it, but it is way better. Okay, so yeah, Josh Gibson is still the underpowered Josh Gibson. So now the other thing I wanted to do was, even though this is incorrect, I'm still going to save it so we can come back to it. I'm going to create a new historic one, but I'm going to go straight into the Negro Leagues, which I haven't done this outside the majors, so this is a first for me. I don't know what we're going to find. Maybe one of you guys already does, but okay. So if I click historical, it looks like it says create any Major League Baseball league from 1871 to 2000. I was hoping that there's a way to go into a new league from the minors. Oh, real world. Select your league from one of the predefined real world leagues. Okay, let's try this. This might be what I'm looking for. MLB partner leagues. Let's try this. Now I'm breaking new ground for myself too, so we're all in the same boat now. Have either of you guys gone into this part of the base game, the partner leagues? I think this is um what I saw being played when I saw Honk Ball, the Dutch leagues and my friends' real life stats. This should be the independent leagues. Okay. I'm also expecting Honk Ball to be in here. I did find it interesting that KBO was also split out in that menu. So it's MLB, KBO, and then everything else. Oh, it's not letting me pick a year, so I wonder if it's just current independent leagues then. Oh, okay. Oof. All right, let's try 1933 since that's the year we're looking for. see what we find. I mean, 1933 might end up being a dry hole in this non-MLB, non-KBO database, but let's see what we find. This is also already putting a damper on one of the other sims I wanted to do, which was I wanted to pull together an all-time Negro Leagues team and start them in 1947 and work backwards. Um, yeah, you're right. You were right. Um, D block. It does look like these are just independent. Oh no, no, wait, no, Kansas City Monarchs. Okay, no, this is right. So I guess back in 1933, what we would consider the independent leagues or the non. Oh, here's the pull down menu. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, so back then the independent or non-major leagues were the Negro Leagues. So let's manage as the Kansas City Monarchs because at least we can look for the right uh Jackie Robinson too. Oh, although this is the wrong year for that. Wait, let me go back and see. Did you guys happen to remember if the Pittsburgh Crawfords were on that list? I have to find the league with the Pittsburgh Crawfords, and then we'll be in business. So in the American Association, are the Pittsburgh Crawfords in here? They are not. Okay, but as long as we're here, let's check out who's on the Kansas City Monarchs. I'm only going to recognize names probably from either the Hall of Fame or Perfect Team because I'm very ignorant when it comes to Negro League history. Um, but it's good. It's great that there are full rosters here. This is really cool. So check out this guy, Jalen Ortiz. 65 contact, 60 gap, 70 power, 60 eye. Oh, sorry, you can't see my game screen. Sorry. Thank you, Gumbercules. Yeah, so I'm looking at their rosters and I don't recognize the names because again, I'm very ignorant about the Negro Leagues. But I mean, check out this guy here, Jalen Ortiz. I'm gonna pull him up because his overall ratings look so good. 65 contact, 60 gap, 70 power. Does he have a scouting report? 25-year-old right-handed hitter. He has plus plus power ceiling. He has a plus contact potential. He has good range. He gives maximum effort without being careless. Ortiz has a potential and very promising future. And then let's look at well, we're in commissioner mode, so I should be able to see his real life stats, but I'm not seeing that option here. Okay, this is very promising. So let me but we're in the wrong league because the Pittsburgh Crawfords are not in here. I think it's most obvious when I go here in the pull down. There is no Pittsburgh Crawfords. I spent a few months in Sioux Falls, so I'm kind of curious to see the Sioux Falls Canaries. Looks like their big star is Liam Spence with 4.5 stars overall. Okay, so let me can I change? Oh, I can change within here. So let's find. So I'm switching to the Atlantic League. And then within the Atlantic League, there is no Crawford. So let me try. We can use this for the next NEL bug for guests to say yes. That's a great idea. American Association. This is the one where the Monarchs are, right? So yeah. Liam Spence noted. Get your bunk here. Get your preview bunk here. Pre bunk. Now this is all non-major leagues, so I'm assuming there are some non-Negro leagues in here too. So I don't know enough about this era to know what the various leagues are. So okay, that's a bummer. So there are no Pittsburgh Crawfords in here. And what I have in that sheet is that these stats were from the Pittsburgh Crawfords. I mean, straight from Baseball Reference. So I don't. Let me pull his BREF page. We can just double check that. I know you guys aren't seeing it. I'm trying to get it up here for you guys. Okay. So here's his BREF page. So 1933, and even this is clearly incomplete, right? Because he was the home run career champion, and this only has 166 home runs represented. So clearly, even here, there's stuff missing. We looked at all this black bold ink, league leader ink, hits, triples, homers, RBI, on base percentage, slugging, OPS, OPS plus. And if you hover over his team, it is oh, you're not seeing the hover, so I'll just tell you it says Pittsburgh Crawfords. And what's the league? NN2. It says his league is NN2. I'm going to click on that. Negro National League 2. I didn't realize there was a 1 and a 2, but so the Pittsburgh Crawfords were in Negro National League 2. But yeah, it looks like within the game, in 1943, he had a batting average of 466 and was not the league leader, says D Block. Um, yeah, I think that's a league and a era difference, right? So if I go back to the American Association, so the Kansas City Monarchs there, but I don't see the the day because there's also in the American Association of Sioux Falls Canaries. Oh no, that's the same. Oh, sorry, that's the same one we were looking at before. Okay. Chicago Dogs. I'm just gonna go team by team just in case he got somehow misclassified in here within. So Kansas City Monarchs. We looked at Chicago Dogs. Claiborne Railroaders. Look at these 5-star players. Jax with the double X, Jax Groshans. Carter Aldrete. You guys remember the Giants' first baseman, Mike Aldrete? Shedlong Jr., Jansen Whitty, 5 stars, 70 contact, 65 gap, 60 power, 60 eye, 65 avoid K. Check out this guy. It's a lot of blue and green. Jansen Whitty is a 6'1" third baseman for the Claiborne Railroaders. He has good batting instincts. He has above average power from the right side of the plate. He is good at working counts. Whitty is certain to remain one of the baseball's most valuable commodities. I'm kind of curious if we look up. I'm going to look up Jansen Whitty and BREF and see what we get. So let me share my BREF page with you. I'm looking up Jansen Whitty. Oh, this isn't the right guy because he has a color photo from 2011. So not a 1933's baseball player. So what's going on here then? I thought we're in a 1933 run environment, but is it pulling? So it's got modern players mixed in with. This is very like surreal. Let me go back then to the Crawfords. Are these actual Kansas City Crawfords? Not the Crawfords, the Monarchs. So if I look up Jalen Ortiz in BREF, is this a player from the 2000s? It is. Well, he was, yeah. So for some reason, our 1933 Monarchs are populated with current day prospects. Um, that's extra disappointing. So even though it does say the run environment up here on the top right, it does say 1933. So even though the run environment is pulling 1933, it's just populated with a bunch of modern prospects, I guess. Huh. So let me go back to the create. So if I do historical, yeah, it does say Major League Baseball. What happens if we go in historical, we open a 1933 save, we import the minors, we do complete history, and then we dig around in the minors? So, oh, look, import real Negro leagues and minor leagues. I don't know if you can see it. I know the screen probably shows up a little small here, but all right, this is where we're looking for then. See, Gumbercules, it might seem like I know a lot. I've just done a lot of trial and error. Playing commissioner mode, cannot be fired. We're still doing NEL recovery. All target reviews. So 1933 sim. Okay, this is promising. At least we should be able to see whatever does exist within the game. I think D Block, one of the big benefits of you sharing that forum post with us is, I mean, granted, this game came out after that post. I think his update was from 2022, but I get the impression from that that even whatever you can find within the game is probably still going to be off. And in our case, it looks like it's off in the direction of like severely underpowering um, Jackie and Josh Gibson's rookie years. I am still kind of intrigued by Josh Gibson's BREF page because I always grew up thinking that like if you just look at career home runs, major league or otherwise, Josh Gibson was the career home run leader. But if you look at his BREF page, there's nowhere near 700 plus home runs on there. It was like 160. And maybe it's my fault for, you know, treating BREF like the end all be all, but that's always been my go-to for baseball stats. So it makes me wonder like where do I go for more complete Negro League stats? All right, this will be interesting. Trying to dig through the minors here. So I don't think there are any. I don't think it matters which major league team we pick here. Um, but we know he played for the Pittsburgh Crawford, so I mean, let's just pick the Pittsburgh Pirates and we'll start there. I haven't done a lot of base game play this far back in time, so I've never seen that checkbox where it says import Negro League and minor league stats. The ones I've always played, the checkbox is just minor league stats. So this is cool. We're playing far enough back now where I'm seeing checkbox that I hadn't seen before. Yeah, I was always bringing players from like dead ball and rebirth eras into more modern settings, not going back that way, which now has me thinking like there's a lot of probably fun stuff to be discovered. All right, so now within here, even if you play the base game in current year 2024 2023, you can pick minor leagues here. So um but yeah, so here are the different leagues you can pick from. So um but I'm not seeing. So D Block says there is no official stat site because of segregation. Those stats were not kept. There were two official Negro leagues, but tons of other leagues. Yeah, and also I think there was something in the press release the about integrating the Negro League stats about like all the barnstorming games and whether or not they would be counted. For instance, the 1933 Monarchs were not part of the Negro. Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay, so here you can see. So even in the current game, right? You can see all the minor leagues. So here, one of the choices is Negro League. So let's click on that. So we're now in the Negro Leagues, and here are the choices: Pittsburgh Crawfords. Oh, we're getting close. We're getting close. Yeah, or the exhibition games of Major League versus Negro League teams. Yep. Josh Gibson. Oh, wait, there's a 5-star Josh Gibson in here. What the heck, OTP? This is who I want. Look at all this blue. 70 contact, 80 BABIP, 75 power. This is the guy. This is the 1933 Josh Gibson we want. How come we can't pull him in? Okay, what is his player ID? I've been using this Gibson Joe 99. Hercules, good Lord, you found him. We have searching for Sugar Man. We have found Josh Gibson, the right superstar rookie year 1933 1100 plus OPS Josh Gibson. We have found him. Okay, so worst case scenario, we're just gonna capture these numbers and pull him in. So yeah, in a neutral modern day major league environment, he's not going to hit 395, but he is going to hit 362 with a 1099 OPS. I will take it. I just don't know why I can't import this guy. That's the frustrating part. But now I feel fine about just screenshotting this, and if I can't do an official import within the game, I don't mind screenshotting this and typing it in. Oh, it did not have a BREF line? Let me go back to that. No, it doesn't, but D-Block, I've used both of these numbers, the Gibson 002 JOS and the Gibson JO99, and it still gave me that underpowered Josh. Maybe leave it open. Well, so I have to put something though. So if I leave it blank, it won't pull any player for that. Maybe I'm confused. I'm talking about, so in this is the second one I tried. I went with his historical minors ID. So I guess if I leave this, so do you like? I probably not understanding your question. If I so in this, if I take out the Gibson 002 JOS, it's not going to pull anything though for that particular line of text. So you give the game three different stat names. Well, so for this import text file though, it's ID, year, and then destination. Give the name the first and the third. I go back. Yeah. There is, so Berkeley is saying maybe import. Well, so so D block. But I don't think there's no import screen where you enter in three things. I don't think because well, we can do it from here. If I go to sign free agent, import historical player. By the way, I also did this. I also tried drawing from the minor database and it didn't work. We can try it again though, but use only the, yeah, so but if you go here, right, there is no place to enter three IDs. It's either just asking for AID here, one ID, or the text file in which the text file it's only looking for ID. so do you like? I want to try it, but I'm not seeing a place where I have three IDs to enter where I only enter two. Like all the places are only one ID to enter. Okay, so we can try that. So so here's the thing though. From a text perspective, the here, let me go back to show you. Let's go back to Josh's page. The text that's in here is the exact same because OTP uses a BRF number. So if we go back to a major league player, the historical and BRF IDs are the same. The only one that's different is this one, and I've tried using this one. Like you can see in this import, it was this one. Um, so worst case, I'm going to screenshot this so I can bring him into the game this way. There's a few things down here at the bottom. I've got to get all of it. There's nothing on the pitching page that I need. Um, there's some stuff here. I'm going to grab his info from here. Sorry, can't see my game screen. I'm just screenshotting all this stuff. Yeah, I get so it should be historical. I agree, but since the actual letters and numbers that are in the historical ID field and the BREF ID field are the same, I don't see that OTP is going to see it any differently. I thought the big breakthrough was going to be using this historical miners ID, um, but that didn't work. So I have his injury data now. The thing that's missing is in the in the base game when I create players, and I don't know if this is an OTP 25 change. Um, you can also change all and see and change all the personality traits. Um, and I thought we would see that for these, but I guess when it's real players, maybe they don't want to get into the business of rating real players on things like intelligence, because I can see that being a real issue. Okay, so let's go back to. Oh, and also let's find. Um, I want to find Jackie's 1945 stats too. So let's see if we can find Jackie in 1945. So what did I do? Wait, did I do historical? How did I get to this one? I found Josh, but now I can't find my breadcrumbs for how I got here. Um, did I do historical? Okay. 1945. Import Negro Leagues is checked. Man, I can't believe we found those Josh Gibson ratings. That's awesome. I'm so psyched. See if we can find Jackie's 1945 stats. I'm wondering, even Satchel seemed a tiny bit underpowered. I wonder if we should give him the same treatment here and try to find his. So Gerberkuli says, at least you know the stats are in there. Just working how to import them accurately. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I don't know that, I'm going to do all of this in the stream. I'll probably do some of it offline, but you're right. It's just reassuring to know that we can do this now. Um, so Jackie in 1945, his would have been with the Monarchs. So let's try to find the Monarchs in here. Oh, I'm so psyched that we have stats that resemble that amazing 1933 Josh Gibson year. I am super excited. I mean, this team won 130 some games with one catcher that was not that crazy Josh Gibson. I mean, what's going to happen when we drop this guy into 2023? Oh, this is so great. For just a little bit of typing, we're going to get the 1933 Josh Gibson into the game. 162-0. You know what would be interesting? Just how crazy of a team do you need to assemble to go 162-0 in a sim? I mean, you probably have to do it over and over, but it would be cool to see. Um, it didn't matter what team we picked, so I'm just gonna pick a team here because we're just gonna change the league once we get into the game. I mean, one of the games I was gonna play is, based on all these rosters I used to draw on the backs of my uh, the paper book covers for my textbooks in school, and of course, it's all-time great players. I mean, even that team is not going to go 162. No, they're going to find a way to lose a game. But just how far overboard would you have to go? Or is it even possible? I mean, just random number generator stuff happens. But it would be fun to try. Let's change our league to Negro Leagues. And let's change our team to the Monarchs. There he is. There he is. Ooh, look at all that green and blue. Oh, man. What's his scouting report say? 26-year-old right-handed hitter. He's an excellent contact hitter, has a strength hit for big league power with 19 homers or 10 homers a season. He's a solid defensive shortstop. Robbins should have no trouble holding down a job as a shortstop, but he has some potential to grow and develop into one of the top players in the league. I'll be up all night getting info into the sim. I need to get some sleep tonight. I just wrapped up my attempt to get all six of my teams into the daily draft PTCS, and I'm so tired because I had to just keep slamming tournaments and keep drafting. And it wasn't the drafting; it was the do you like gotta head out? This is fascinating. Thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Um, D Block, what's your if you have a second, what's your PTS appearances? What are your PTCS appearances going to be? Because I got um two irons, bronzes, two silvers, and I got 3 out of 6 daily drafts. So I have 6 teams I was running. Um, and the irons, bronze, and silvers, I just kept slamming the same rosters in and maybe update them once a week or so. But the daily drafts, I was just trying so hard to get all 6 teams in and just couldn't do it. In fact, I can show you. I think I can show you. I made a slide with my daily draft results. I was looking to see if I can find a pattern of. No, I didn't make a slide out of it. Um, yeah, but I was just wondering how many I might see you in. You may already be. Oh, there you are. Oh, a funeral. Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that, man. Oh man, I'm so sorry to hear that. Well, you take care of what you need to do, and I'll be hoping for the best for you. Yeah, that's a bummer. That definitely puts things like PTCS into perspective. Having to go to a funeral, or maybe having to go to a funeral. Hopefully not. Let me I'm gonna screenshot these ratings. Funeral, definitely. Just when is the question? Yeah, sorry to hear that, man. I've been in that situation too. It's not fun. Let me go back here to see Satchel. I'm just gonna double check that we got the right Satchel info. 1927 Satchel. All right, see you, D Block. I'll be hoping for the best for you, man. All right, let's look up 1927. Try to get some Jackie stats, or not Jackie, Satchel stats. Okay, recovering Satchel stats. Hey, Gumbercules, if you're still on, I was wondering. I usually start up at 10:30 p.m. Pacific time. Today I was about 20 or so minutes late. What time is it for you when I start? It is 5:40 p.m. now. Okay, so I started about two hours ago. So it was 3:40 p.m. for you. What are the Hey, Marbek 77. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. All right. Again, so I don't think it matters what team, but it's Tuesday afternoon. Yeah, so my family lives in Japan, so I'm used to the having to think um a day ahead thing. But yeah, thanks for the reminder. Yeah, so it's about 3:30 your time when I started. So who are some of the streamers that you watch that fit your schedule over there? So is it Marbeck or Marbeek? What we're working on is building a roster of the greatest rookie seasons ever, and we're going to bring them into 2023 run environment to play. Uh, we're going to replace the Oakland Athletics with this team and run a sim with them. But we ran into an issue where the normal way I import players as a mass import using a text file was somehow not pulling the right Negro League data. But we're finding that the data exists. We just have to dig through and find it season by season. Oh, who was he playing for at the time? It was the Birmingham Black Barons. There it is. Birmingham Black Barons. Pitching staff. Let's look at ratings. Oh, he is not on here. So Compricles, you're up at 4 a.m. every day for Laptop Hound and Dr. Dynastic. Oh, so even within your time zone, you're like up at kind of atypical hours, it sounds like if you're up at 4 watching streams. So you work a job online from 4 to 6:30, then you go to work from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Then you're back on for about 4 hours in the evening until about 8 or so. Okay, so you're still watching the same streamers, I guess we probably are then. So you catch EVC, Laptop Hound, Dr. Dynastic, probably. Are there any streamers streaming from Australia, streaming OTP, or like at the affiliate level? Okay, so I'm a little disappointed that Satchel's not in here, but maybe he's in another team. Not that you know of. Well, here's Bill Foster. There's Steel Arm Davis. There's Rube Curry. Some names we recognize from the perfect team. I'm just being thorough and kind of searching through all the. There's Ed Ryle who just came into PT 25. Wow, the Havana Cuban Stars West, there are no pitchers on their staff. There's Bullet Joe Rogan. He's been in the game. We don't have a Bullet Joe card yet this year, I don't think. Okay, I don't understand this part of the game at all because Satchel's one where the game pulled some pretty decent 27 stats for Satchel, like using the text file. And now when we come here to pull his real numbers, we can't find him at all. Josh Gibson, the game doesn't pull him until we look in the minors and then pulls a watered down version, but we are able to find him by digging around this way. There seems to be not much rhyme or reason to it. This is where he should be. D Block mentioned getting ahead of some bunk for this Harry Salmon. Seems like someone we should be looking for in the game at some point. 80 stuff, 70 home run suppression, 55 P BABIP, and 65 control. Let's look at his real life stats. This seems like someone who should be in the game. 20 and 9. I think that was his top win total, but I mean, pretty consistent winner. I'm sure you can find a Spore can find a peak season in here to really shine. I mean, this 15 and 6, 2.24 ERA, one. Oh, sorry, I'm not sharing my game screen again. So so sorry. While I was not sharing my game screen, I looked through all the different teams in this league. So I checked every one of the rosters, their pitching staffs, and did not find a Satchel Page. And then I was just looking around and found this Harry Salmon. Here's his overall. Lots of blue and green. Max stuff at 80 out of 80. 70 home run suppression. And then here are his real life stats. Man, I'm gonna send this to Spore. I think this 1923 season, 15 and 6, 2.24 ERA, 1.04 WHIP. That could make a heck of a Negro League card. Let me screenshot this. I'll send him the screenshot. And maybe this one too. I think the blue and the green speak volumes. Okay, so we'll rely on the text file pull for Satchel and Bill Foster. The Bill Foster that it pulled in seemed great. And then I will manually enter in the 1945 Jackie and the 1933 Josh Gibson. And then I think we will have a roster ready to go. So, um, what I'm thinking is I'll create them as players and leave them in the free agent pool. So I don't have to do that tedious part online or in stream. But in stream, we'll do the pull again just to kind of show the whole process. We'll show how we pull it, turn the minor leagues on so we get the Bill Foster data, and then um, we'll just add the Jackie and Bob Gibson that I'll create probably tonight or tomorrow morning, and then we will be ready to go. So I think on the next stream, we'll be able to bring our full team with our Negro League players, all-time rookie team roster into 2023 and do some damage. So I think this is probably a good stopping point for tonight. Um, Here's that title page again, what we're doing. So before we finalize without Negro League players, I'm glad we did all this because we are now going to be able to finalize with Negro League players. And I appreciate you sticking around for the journey as we figured it out. And now you know all kinds of stuff about how to set up a game in the base game. If you want to dig around for some historic players that the game does not want to import for some reason. I'm also going to let I don't know if it's Spore or Nicolino or who actually needs to know this, but to show them that Gibson data and for some reason why it's not coming through because it'd be great if I'm sure they would like to fix it too so it pulls the right Josh Gibson. Um, but it's a little thing, but it could be a big quality of life for people who are doing historic sims. So they might want to know about it. Um, that could be your weekend. What's that watching? Are you doing a historic sim like this? Could be your weekend. I hope so. These are fun. Um, and then after that, we still have the second year players team to put together too. So yeah, try your own sim. I do it. I'm all for it. I think it's fun to watch these, but it's also fun to do them. So and let me know how it goes if you come up with a fun one. All right. Well, I'm gonna sign off. Let me see if I can find someone to raid into that's playing out of the park. At this hour, it's probably pretty unlikely. So you understand the process better? Great. I'm glad I was able to be helpful to you. That's good to hear. Um, I did this just to, be able to create videos of my Sims to put on YouTube. But the involvement in the chat's been great, and I'm glad you found something helpful out of it too. No one is playing OTP 25 right now, so I'm not gonna raid you guys anywhere. I'm just gonna sign off, I think. So have a good night. Have a good day for you, Gumbercules, and hope to see you next time.